I don't believe it. The whole holiday, my voice has sounded like a constipated donkey. And now it's finally happened. Puberty.
If you can't control these boys, I'll find someone who can.
This is where our quest for legendary status begins, boys.
The winner of the Naughties Outdoor Reading Competition,
I should warn you, boy. I've been playing a lot of squash lately.
Spirit will stop at nothing to get us all expelled. Leaves us with only one possible option. Get Spirit before he gets us.
Any advantages to a fascist utopia?
It sort of reminded me of this place, sir.
So, what are we going to do about it?
What should we do?
Challenge him. Challenge him to make it better.
Guys, I think I've got a plan to get spare rib.
Out, damn Spud!
How's it?
The school. This is your shot, Milton. If you screw this up, you could end up like your father.
Oh, it's for your sake. We're back!
Well, I'm sure I'm not allowed to tell you exactly what happens, but in Spud 2, we kind of explore what it is to get a little bit older and to be 1 year older. And we've seen all the growing pains of Spud in Spud 1. And in Spud 2, it's all about rebellion. It's about a bunch of boys who've had enough of the institution telling them what to do and telling them how to behave. And in Spud 2, the boys try to take on the institution with all kinds of hilarious and tragic results. It was obviously a lot easier to write the script for Spud 2 because we kind of had the blueprint of Spud 1. We knew the general structure. We were going to divide it into the 4 terms, and we were going to try and work everything inside of that. And obviously, I knew the characters really well, and I knew the actors who were going to play the characters. So it was much easier for me to write for this film and for Spud 2, yeah. Well, it was great. Obviously, we had the first movie, but I think particularly for them to see their characters in Spud 1 and then to come to Spud 2 is just so much easier because they know exactly what those characters are and what to expect. And I felt that both John and Troye have just taken it to another level. They've come with all the knowledge of Spud 1 and they've added a whole lot of new elements, and Troy's also grown up a bit, so he's bringing that maturity. And I just think overall they're both doing brilliant work, as good if not better than Spud 1. Yeah. It's just been great working with the same team, the same producers, same writers, same cast, and I feel that's allowed us to take it to another level, because movie making, it's about relationships, and it's about getting to know the people you're working with, and just to get the best out of them, you need to know them better as people, and that's what we're doing on Spud 2. Obviously, our boys have all grown up, so some of them have become men. Which is a good thing for the film because they're more mature, they've had more life experience, and I think they can really relate to the script on a different level than they could 2 years ago. So I'm really enjoying working with the boys at an older level. They still look young, and we're doing everything like they can to make them look authentic. Having said that, it's really hard to find actors in this country who are very young and can perform. And even as it is, a lot of these boys are non-actors, but I think they've got a special something. And I think we did a very good casting decision first time around, and I'm seeing something magic in each of their eyes, and often, you don't get that in every cast member. They're special boys, and I've had a very exciting time working with them. Cleese is just a legend in the world of cinema and comedy. He's 50 years of experience. So just working with him is like a dream come true. It's an amazing experience for me, and he brings so much to every scene. John Cleese doesn't allow himself a moment of falseness. He will interrogate every moment of the scene, every line, and he won't say something that doesn't feel natural to him. And it's tremendous working with someone like that, because he will just make the scene better, and he'll give you suggestions. And of course, the suggestions from John Cleese are always fantastic, you know, and he's added so many wonderful comedy moments. And it's such a pleasure for me as the writer and director to see every scene get better and live again, you know, once John Cleese comes on and adds, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? How about that? And, you know, and everything just elevates to something better. And I think as a director, that's a dream come true. And I don't know if I'll ever again have a chance to work with someone of that stature, but it's been wonderful. Yeah, Troye is a phenomenon. I'm always surprised and amazed by this young boy and what he brings in every moment. He's so intelligent. He's so in touch with himself for someone so young. He's got a vulnerability. He's got a sensitivity that you often only get when you're much older. And this is part of his magic. And this is maybe what we call X factor, this sense that you are with someone who's wise beyond their years, who's just giving you something special, who has an interesting take on the world. And as Troye gets older, that just sort of amplifies, and we're just getting more wonderful moments out of Troye and out of Spud. And you know, he's in almost every scene of the film, and he has to carry the whole film, and he does it fantastically.
Well, it's about rebellion, really, and it's a more, I think, straightforward comedy than the first one, which had its tragedy and its comedy. And it's just about an atmosphere of rebellion that is going on in the school, and the Gov, of course, is basically on the side of the boys. Well, the Gov's are basically a rebellious guy, and he's in a school that's still a bit stuffy. I mean, it's not like the 50s, but it's still relatively stuffy, with a lot of people around who are very concerned about how everything looks, rather than with perhaps the reality of life, you know, as, well, this is true of society at any time. There's always people in there looking more deeply at things and other people who are living at a more surface level. And what he's trying to do, and what he loves when he meets Spud, is he finds a spirit that is open to the idea of ideas and not just taking things for granted. In my case, I had a couple of relatively light days to start with. Then I had a day off, which I spent quite a lot of working with Donovan, who's, you know, Donovan Marsh, the director, whom I really enjoy working with. But there were a couple of scenes that both of us felt weren't really quite right. And it's because they'd been rewritten several times and they just needed a final rewrite. So we had a very long lunch over some King Clip. And we came out with scenes I was very, very happy with indeed, and that's what we were shooting yesterday, and we've been shooting today. Well, it was lovely to come back again, because there's so many familiar faces on the set. I got very fond of the boys last time, and of course Troye's almost a friend, Donovan's a friend, so it's absolutely lovely on the first day of shooting to walk in, instead of a bunch of strange faces, just to have friends around. I think it has changed, and he's noticeably older. It's been a couple of years, you know, and he looks a little bit different, and there's something in his behavior that reflects the fact that he's matured in some way. Well, you see, when you're playing a role, you can't play it if you don't have some of the, really all of the characteristics of the character. I remember when I used to cast the business training films I used to do, we used to find some actors, and we had a character who was kind of authoritative or slightly angry or edgy, and there were some actors just couldn't do it. They didn't have it in themselves. So anything that you play, whether it's sadness or regret or joy or playfulness, if you don't have that in yourself, you can't play it. But then, of course, what happens is you come to each character as you emphasize one thing and you de-emphasize another, and that's how you're getting all the changes of character. So, as I say, the key is if you don't have that particular emotion available to you, then you can't do it. And in fact, the thing that I used to find hardest to play when I was young was just relaxed smiling. I could go, ha, 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 But just to smile in a relaxed way was very hard because it took a lot of internal relaxation, which I now have. I think that they can expect more of an outright comedy with a very good, slightly dramatic ending that's pretty funny too.
It's a story about rebellion. It's the Crazy Eights now testing their parameters, testing the limits, and testing the school. And I think the madness continues. I think both film and book has that element of rebellion about it. It's interesting. I sit there on set and I hear the characters' names being passed around and thrown around by people. Or where's the normal 7? Where's the Glock going to stand? And I remember when those were just thumbsucks. I just made up those characters all those years ago. So I mean, there's something thrilling about that, about seeing something that you originally wrote and created, the characters you created now being embodied by the people. So it's thrilling. It is really thrilling. You know, writing books is a lonely pursuit. You sit there in front of a computer for a year and a half, and you thrash it out, and it's a lot less romantic than I think people think it is. So it's wonderful to suddenly feel you're part of this team, this huge team that's all working in the same direction. And I think that this gives Spud life now that all the books have been written. I think it gives Spud a life beyond the books, and I think that's tremendous, looking forward to the next few years. Well, they seem to be great friends. I mean, John was threatening to adopt Troye, the last movie, which his mum wasn't too happy about. But, you know, they're great friends, and I think there's a natural camaraderie that they experience, and there's this wonderful difference between them, where John's this big man with this gravitas, and Troy's, you know, got these amazing blue eyes, and he's this little boy who, well, was a little boy, but he's growing fast now, who, you know, this sort of the wonderful dichotomy between an older man looking back and a younger man looking forward. Somehow it's a wonderful combination. And I think they work so well together, and fantastic that they have a friendship. And I think that's something I notice around the set, is there's really a sense that whether it be the Crazy Eight or whoever it may be, the crew, people are sort of bonded together. There's a sense of united purpose about this, that whatever's been made is bigger than all of us, and everyone's doing their bit, and I love that. There's a real sort of family vibe going on, and I do like that now. For me, it's a vitally important part of this film. It's symbolic. It's symbolic of a freedom that the Crazy Eight sees. And it also sets up that wonderful dynamic with their housemaster, Spare Rib, who becomes a real antagonist. Now, the first film didn't really have a strong antagonist. It was more about Spud finding his way, a coming-of-age film. Now, this film, because you've got a strong antagonist, people who are out to get a man who's out to get the Crazy Eight, and the Crazy Eight who are out to get their housemaster, you've immediately, I think, got more scope for dramatic action and for humor. So I think in many ways the madhouse and that whole act of rebellion provides everybody with a little bit more to play with this time. So really looking forward to seeing how that comes out. I think we can expect in Spud 2, the madness continues. We can expect thrills and spills. I think I think the world has been set up now, and there's a lot more, I think, action and drama in this script, and also I think a lot more comedy. I think there was a conscious effort to really hike the comedy up in it. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a different beast to the first movie. I think there will be obviously similarities in some ways with the characters being played by the same actors, but I think overall, I think the madness is going to leave a different taste in the mouth, and it's going to have a different feel, and I hope it's going to really please a lot of Spud fans out there, because you know, there's been a lot of work that's gone into it, and these kind of endeavors aren't just thrown together overnight. There's a lot of skilled people who are working very hard to make it happen, and I think it's going to be great. You're reminded continually of what a brilliant performer he is and what he brings to not only this movie, but to the people around you, to the set, just to the people of South Africa, I think they're just thrilled that John Cleese has not only come out and done Spud, but he's come back again, which means he enjoyed his shoot and he enjoyed what he did. And I think he did some great work. So.
Yeah, Spud 2 is a story in which we pick up Spud in his second year at school. It's 1991 in South Africa. And this is kind of the next year in Spud's life. The first year, the first film is Spud coming of age. This year he's kind of come of age and he's in that next stage of kind of teenagehood. And with the Crazy Eight, they're in this very sort of revolutionary state of mind. And they come up kind of head to head against Spare Rib, their housemaster, whose job depends on whether he can discipline them and manage them and keep them in check. But they're in this, very kind of troublesome kind of stage. So the story is really around this face-off between Spare Rib and the Crazy Eight, and who's going to kind of prevail at the end of the year. I think there's a lovely familiarity and comfort with working with the same team again, and that applies to the crew and also the cast. I mean, it's John Cleese, it's Troye Sivan, it's also the Crazy Eight, the girls, the other teachers. It's exactly the same cast, and so it is very much a feeling of the kind of families coming together again. Spud 2 is a different beast to Spud 1. It's